After every single US men's national team camp, we do a camp recap video where we go over the players that had their stocks go up, players that had their stocks go down, big positives, big negatives, and then we rate the camp from 1 to 10 with 5 being average with a special guest. And it's crazy to say this, but the 2026 World Cup is not over, but it's over for the US men's national team. We waited for this for years and years, and it just flies by when it happens. That's why I always tell everyone, enjoy every second of it. We don't get many World Cups in our lifetime, so enjoy every single second of it. With that said, let's begin the recap. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. Today we have our USMNT 2026 World Cup recap. Now, we're getting close to wrapping up the coverage of the World Cup. We still have 2 videos coming out next week, one of how to fix US soccer, and then the other one about the next generation, like USMNT prospects that you should watch out for in this 2030 cycle, so stay tuned for that. Then we're going to go on a little bit of a break because I also need a rest. And that's all. But today, we have the World Cup recap video where I will give you, and Adam, also our guest, will also give you 2 players that had their stocks go up, 2 players that had their stocks go down, 1 big positive, 1 big negative, the big picture here, what we should look forward to, and then rate the camp from 1 to 10. Not the camp, the World Cup. Let me know in the comments section down below, what do you rate, right? I want to know what you rate the USMNT this World Cup from 1 to 10 based on performance, results, everything. From 1 to 10 with 5 being average. Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like in this video. That's a great way to support the channel. And I want to once again thank you all from the bottom of my heart right now. I'm thanking you for all the support during the World Cup. Okay? With that said, let's roll the intro and start the episode. And as I said, I will not be requesting during the episode. So drop a like in the video right now. Let's begin. All right, long time no see. We haven't had Adam on since March, actually. We always have him for camp recaps. During the World Cup, we talked about doing recaps of like the group stage, but things are so rushed. It was complicated, so we left it to the very end. Now we have a lot to talk about, a lot to digest. It's been 2 days since the elimination when we're recording this. We're obviously less upset. We're still upset, but a little bit less emotional about things. So we're going to try to be as rational as possible. With that said, Adam, how you doing?
Tack, I'm good, man. I'll be honest. I didn't sleep much my last couple nights in Greece. I was staying up for the Mexico game, 3 a.m. I stayed up on the plane. I couldn't sleep because I was watching the Spain game, then watching the US game. So I'll be honest, jet lagged, really sick. Kind of fell asleep at 2 p.m. yesterday, woke up at 9 a.m. this morning. But I'm not going to pull a sick on you, Tack. All right? Like, I'm not going to Christian Pulisic. That's what I'm calling it from here on out. If you're going to
like
quit on
Michael
your
Jordan
team because you have something slightly wrong, it's a Pulisic, and I'm not going to do that to you because
you're like Michael Jordan, right? It's your flu game.
That's right. Like, I'm going to go flu game. If I get a slight knock, I'm not going to go sit on the bench. Man, I'm good. I watched your 7 things. I watched Pete's recap. I watched a bunch of other people's over the last couple of days sitting in bed, and I'm there with all you guys. Like, it's just such a disappointing end to such a promising World Cup. And I'm interested to see where we land as we talk through it. Because
let's start with that. Okay. So look, we're gonna go through players that had 2 players that had their stocks go up, 2 players that had their stocks go down, 1 positive, 1 negative, and Pochettino. But before we start, I think it's important to talk about this because I put a poll today, like literally as we're recording this, only 1 hour. It has a lot of votes already. 2.6K votes in 1 hour. So a lot of people are voting. And I asked from a US men's national team perspective, how did the World Cup go? Success, average, or a failure? And it's kind of incredible, right? Because success is the lowest percentage right now, 13%. Average is at 67%, and then a failure is at 20. So there's a lot to digest here about how the fans are feeling. Because, Adam, I'm going to pull up the results here. Coming into the Belgium game, this was actually the best World Cup in U.S. men's national team history, right? I think we can all agree on that. We start off the big 4-1 win against Paraguay, very big 4-1 win against Paraguay. After that, we came in, we beat Australia 2-0. Those are the games with our starters. After that, we played Turkey with our backups. We lost, and then we won our first knockout game here in this World Cup against Bosnia 2-0. Up until then, it was the best World Cup we've ever had. We were scoring goals, playing good soccer. Turkey, if we played our starters, we would have won. Things were great. We come into the Belgium game and they just shat the bed very hard. The lights got too bright and we didn't look like the same team we saw in those games. And ultimately, it went from the best World Cup we've ever had to definitely not the worst. We didn't get groups, right? It's not the worst, but I would argue that it has been the most disappointing World Cup we've ever had, the way it ended, right? Because I, in my lifetime, I mean, I'm not going to talk about 1930s, things like that, but in and even 94, I didn't watch that World Cup, obviously, right? But 2002 beyond, I never saw us lose a World Cup knockout game this badly.
Yeah,
Like I've never seen it. We've always went down putting up a fight. That's always happened. Always happened. It wasn't the case. And it's a surprise to me because this was the best team we've had ever in a World Cup. But the players, I think they choked. I think that's what happened. But my question to
totally
you right
choked.
now is based on that poll, what would you have voted? Average, failure, or success? What would you have voted?
It's I see why people say average because you go, man, it was great before, but the knockout game, it has to be deemed a failure attack because the whole thing here with this generation building for 6 years together was that they're going to change American soccer, right? And like through the group stage, great. Like you can go beat up on some minnows with your pressing and with your, possession based attack. But it all honestly, unfortunately, for us and for Mexico, Mexico's in the same boat as us. 80% of a World Cup now for us is what do we do in the round of 16? I truly believe that. And I get that there was a round of 32 and that was good, but like to break through, the round of 16 is maybe it's not 80%, maybe it's 50, but if you crap the bed the way we did, it becomes 80, 90%, right? Because we had 50 million people watching. We had more people watching than I've ever watched in like an NBA game. I don't know if you saw the stat, college football,
It was
college
42,
basketball.
42 million total, right? Roughly
I
42.
thought it was 50. I saw it was like 38 domestic
Well,
and
they
50,
said
including
42
Telemundo
million.
or something. Whatever it was, like the stats I've seen from legit sources are it's one of the most watched sporting events outside of NFL, right? In United States history. And what are those people left with, Tack? Like they did have a chance to change the at least the trajectory of American soccer, right? With a performance that is a hard-nosed loss, people go out thinking, man, that was a great World Cup and we got unlucky, or right, they just were a little better than us today, or we lost in a shootout. But when you crap the bed like that, all of my group texts that are casuals, right? My basketball teammates, all the people who are just getting into it were like, what the hell was that? I guess we're just the same as we've always been. I
Let
can't,
me
it's
add
like,
one thing there. A friend of mine that usually doesn't watch soccer, but knowing about my YouTube channel and everything, I got him to go watch it. Not the game, but he was watching on TV. But he wasn't really following the World Cup because he doesn't care. He's a big basketball guy. And then I finally told him, I was like, look, you got to watch the Belgium game. This is the biggest game in our history. We're actually trending in the right direction. It might be the biggest upset. Watch it. People are all over the country are going to be talking about this once we win. Go watch this game. Guess what he told me after? He said we're
why did
still
you have me
shit.
watch
They're like,
that? Yeah.
this was the worst thing I've seen. I'm like, and I couldn't explain it to him. I was like, we were playing well. I was like, I don't know what to say, dude. The lights got too bright for these guys. I think that I think I was ready to call it a success. Obviously, if we won, it was a success if we had won this game. But I think if we had gone down like Mexico did, fighting to the end against England, a strong team, literally looking like they had a legitimate shot of knocking out, but you lose because one team has to lose, right? It happens. I think I would still call it a success because the country would have seen the teams like, oh wow, this team actually outplayed Belgium here. They went at them, but ultimately, like the way Matt Freeze conceded that third goal, for example, it looked like an amateur Sunday league. Like there's literally people out there that don't watch soccer saying, I would not have done that. And honestly, they're probably right. They're probably right. Like it to me, I think I'm somewhere in between. I would say if we had just lost to Belgium badly, but it wasn't that embarrassing, maybe it would fall under the line of like it was average. But I'm in between. I'm torn between average to failure because it was just such a massive moment. We got the eyeballs. We did what was the most difficult, and the fans did their part. They sold out the stadium. All of us were telling people to watch the game, trying to bring people in. We did what we could, right, to try to grow the sport. And then at the end, it was players. Now you got to perform. Now you got to get it done. And I think losing to Belgium is okay. Like it can happen. They
Sure.
have
Oh,
good
yeah.
players. 2-1 fighting. That's okay. The way it happened, it was just like, guys, what are we doing here? Like we're trying to grow the sport here, and you guys just had us take like we took like 2 steps forward during the World Cup, and you had us take 5 backwards. Now,
That's right.
now, mind you, we'll see the effects of the World Cup in a few months. We'll see if like social media numbers are up, if there's more kids playing. So we'll see it, right? But yeah, like from a USMNT perspective, it's hard to say success. It's very hard.
Yeah. Now, I'll just say my son, who's in second grade, left the World Cup feeling great. Like he didn't feel great about that game, but like really enjoyed watching U.S. soccer. In the same way that he's enjoyed. He's in second grade, doesn't watch that much soccer, but the same way he's enjoyed watching superstars, and he got into it, learned our players in a more in depth way, and I think that was happening for a lot of kids around the U.S. So it's probably a success from that perspective because kids just relate to things different, right? They don't have the context that we've always been to the round of 16. For them, it was like, man, I had to watch 3 great wins, and those were exciting, and Tillman's free kick was exciting, and man, all those Paraguay goals were exciting. So I think we probably won some young people over, and I'm interested. I think guys our age is probably a failure, but for those young kids, I'm excited to see how it impacts their love of U.S. soccer and soccer in general.
Okay, so let's move on here, Adam. I think that's kind of like a big picture outlook of what happened. I think we can go like to nitpicking now. Let's talk about the players. And why don't
Yep.
we start with players that had, let's start the positive. So players that had their stocks go up. Then we'll go to the stocks go down. And again, keep in mind, guys, as we said, up until the Belgium game, we had many players playing well. Okay, just to make that clear. Not everyone. There were players that didn't play well, but the Belgium game did change a lot of how we rate things because that was the big moment. Now, stocks going up. Do you want to go first or I go first? What do you prefer? You're the guest.
I'll
You're
go
the
first. I'll give context though. I think this is one of the easiest stock ups I've ever seen. Like a true stock up. To your point, guys played well, but like stock up is like where were they entering the World Cup camp pre-friendly, and then where are they now, right? So the first one you have to talk about is Tillman, who is one of the highest rated players in the whole World Cup amongst midfielders, based on a lot of advanced metrics. And like I was reading, in a very mainstream way, he was breaking through the consciousness of like European soccer analysts and people, right? And he's somebody that I think went from, I don't know, relatively known, but not like nobody was like coming in going, man, that's going to be our best player. I mean, he
Adam.
borderline might
Adam.
have been our best player, right?
Adam.
It's like him or one other
Tillman.
guy.
Just add, and I'll let you. Sorry to interrupt. Tillman
No,
wasn't even a lock. He was never a lock to start for the U.S. Never. Now he is. Now he is.
yeah, he's a lock and he's like a big part of the future, which I know we may talk about here at the end. And I think he literally upped his stock, right? His club value and like what he could be sold for and who might want to come after him. Um, I think it's on the up and up. And he was awesome, man. He was really, really good. Where he shocked me most, Tack, and I don't know how much you've talked about this through the World Cup, his ability to like actually be a ball winner, have some defensive chops. Like he looked like a true center mid and not just a guy who was an attacking mid. And I was worried about that because I just never really tracked his defensive ability that much, just being honest, right? He's never been in like under the gun defensive kind of positions with the national team or with club that often. And I thought he held up really nicely. And if I'm looking for a center mid, he might be a guy that, that I'm going to go dig into and learn more about.
So the next one would be talking about another stocks up. I want to say Balogun, and this may sound weird. Maybe to me and you, the stock didn't go up as much, but we were seeing before the World Cup, even people debating Pepe or Balogun, Pepe or Balogun, or Balogun. That debate is over. Like Balogun completely demolished that debate. Not even talking about Pepe's struggles. It's just that Balogun actually looked like our best forward, better than Christian Pulisic, shall I say? Um, and not just that, Balogun off the field was quite remarkable as well. Just like a gentleman, right? The ref made a mistake. He went there, he shook the hand of the ref that gave him a red card. He talked to the Belgium coach after the game. The Belgium coach even said he appreciated that he came to talk to him. Balogun handled the whole situation of the reverse red card with class. And one thing I didn't see many people talking about, people always question when these dual nationals that are developed abroad pick the US, like Tillman, Balogun. Kind of funny, right? That the two showed so much passion. Balogun was singing the national anthem every time. I noticed those little things, right? I know Des was well. Tillman wasn't. I don't know if it's just. I'm not judging him on that. Some people also don't sing the national; they just stay there. That's fine. Um, Balogun was singing the anthem, representing the U.S. With pride. You could see it that he was proud to be there, And again, the performances on the field, 3 goals in the World Cup, played well. He looked dangerous against Belgium, actually. He was one of the very few players against Belgium that didn't look like complete and utter crap. He apologized to the fans after the loss. Um, to me, he gained massive respect. And I think those two players that are stocks up, like Tillman and Balogun, are guys that you build around. It's not Pulisic. It's those two guys. You build around them. And on top of that, I want to say one thing. This will be a separate video that I'm going to talk about, that I'm going to have later on about fixing US soccer. Notice how the two best players we have right now, they were not developed in the US youth ecosystem. It's not ECNL, MLS Next Pro, Development Academy, college soccer. It's none of that. That's not a coincidence, guys. And I'm going to make a video specifically talking about that. Can we develop players with our regular conventional youth development system? Yes, we can. But notice how our two best players were not. Okay. So we both go with 2 stocks up each. Who's your next stocks up?
Freeman, really, he was the last one I had that I could even really legitimately say I had, any sort of movement that warranted true stock up. I thought he showed a level of versatility throughout this World Cup. I thought he showed that he could be a part of a back line in possession. He could defend at a higher level than I thought he could. He was not perfect at all, but he's a young player. And honestly, I thought he held up pretty well. And if you compare it to especially what Tim Ream looked like or what the backups looked like in the Turkey game, I thought his stock was way up from a national team perspective. I think he very much becomes, somebody that you're thinking might be a lock kind of heading into the next couple of years. He looked really good. I mean, I was so low on him, Tack. I've been on this channel with you talking about how I have zero trust in Freeman to defend in the way that we would need him to defend. And really, if you kind of go back and look at the situations we were in tonight, he wasn't a part of like the big error moments from what I saw.
No, and it's not just even defending. When he went to attack as well, he offered great support. He scored a goal in the World Cup. He scored a goal. Freeman was great, young player, still has a lot to mature and develop, but his stock has to be up. And I was also wrong about him. I had a lot of question marks in regards to Alex Freeman, not just coming into the World Cup, coming into La Liga. And when he played 2-3 games for Villarreal starting, he actually looked good too. So Freeman's stock's way up, way up. Another player you build around, right? Freeman with Richards back there. Those
Yep.
two for sure. Richards was also good, but I wouldn't say Richards' stock has gone up, right? He was what I expected from him. He was good. So now with my other stocks up, there's like 2, right? One would be any goalkeeper not named Matt. So any goalkeeper that does not, Matt Turner, Matt Freeze, buy. It's open now. Chris Brady, Diego Cochin coming up. Celentano, Duran Freeze or whatever, not Freeze. What's the name of that young goalkeeper? Forgot his name now. Anyhow, any goalkeeper not named Matt right now. That's it. And I was gonna say one thing too. I was gonna say a little bit. You're gonna say I'm biased on this one, and I want to get your take. I thought Johnny's stock went up because of Balogun and Tillman. Do you know why?
I was wondering if you were going to bring in somebody who wasn't here. It would have been like the first time we've ever done stocks up, and it wasn't somebody who wasn't here.
Yeah,
I don't know why though, but I'm really excited that you brought in somebody that wasn't here.
Yeah, the reason that's because it was always that. Remember when we had shit camps? Always go like it's always the stocks up are people that were not here.
Yeah.
But the reason I say that with Johnny is I see him as a player that can play at the level that we saw from Balogun and Tillman. And Balogun actually started off well in the USMNT. I thought there was just people that hated him for no reason. But Tillman took years and years, many years, right? And he played more games than Johnny. I think what we learned in this World Cup is that a player like Johnny might be worth persisting throughout the cycle because when the big moments come, these guys that are used to it, I mean, the guy is playing for Atletico Madrid in the Champions League semifinals, La Liga, has done it in the Libertadores in South America. Maybe we should be a bit more patient and persistent with players at that level because eventually their level will show. And we saw that with Tillman. Balogun as well, but Balogun, to me, he had played well for the U.S. from the get-go. People just had a thing for Pepe, so they kept pushing Pepe. And Pepe's a good player, but Balogun's a different level. So my stocks up there would be also Johnny. I think now people see that you need to persist on him, right? Now we go to stocks down. Stocks down, right? Now this one, This one, there's a lot of options, right? To pick from. I am not gonna go with like goalkeepers because I kind of already mentioned it. Any goalkeeper not named Matt. I'll go first on this one. I'm just gonna go straight to it. Pulisic stocks down. There's no way. There's no other way to like rate his World Cup, right? Like this was a legacy World Cup for him, and he started playing well. This is the guy that we wanted to. I wanted to be talking today about Pulisic and saying like something like this. This is the greatest USMNT player of all time. That's what I wanted to say after this World Cup. I wanted to sit down here with you and say, Clint, Landon, I loved everything you guys have done for this country. You guys were tremendous players, but Christian Pulisic's the greatest of all time for the U.S. men's national team. And right now, I can say the complete opposite. There's 100% no way he's the greatest USMNT player of all time. Most talented, probably. Probably. I think there's a strong case for that, but it doesn't matter. It's how you carry yourself, your attitude, and what you do on the field. And Christian Pulisic got 0 goals in this World Cup. He's always injured. He took last summer off, so he would be 100% for this World Cup. He didn't go to the Gold Cup, so he could rest. Had a bad second half of the season for Milan. Started the World Cup with a good 45 minutes against Paraguay. Credit where it's due. Got injured. Didn't play against Australia. Played a couple minutes against Turkey. Did okay. Against Bosnia, he was fine. It wasn't the Pulisic you would want. He wasn't the one that won us the game, but he was fine. And then against Belgium, he was one of our worst performers. Literally. Like, regardless of the injury, right? And I'm not even going to criticize him for getting injured. You twist your ankle, you can't play, you can't play. It's whatever. I don't know how much pain he was at that moment and how much he can handle. So you're injured. But he was dispossessed, I think, 11 or 12 times in the first half. He was horrendous before he got injured. Pulisic stock is down. I said this like on Twitter when I was really pissed off. I wouldn't mind if he retired from the national team. I don't want him to retire for the national team. I still think he can help the national team a lot because he is a very good player, very talented. But I wouldn't mind if we just didn't call him up for a whole year. Just don't call him up for the friendlies. Don't call him up for the Gold Cup. Let him do his thing for his club, reflect, get his head back in the right place, and then you start calling him up again towards like 2028 and towards the next World Cup if he's doing well, which I'm sure he will. But his stock is down. His stock is down. He was coming into this World Cup where we won, and we wanted to label him as the greatest USMNT player of all time, and now we are certain that he's not. So, um, and even like and people are gonna say, oh, he can still play the next World Cup. He probably will play the next World Cup. He still has at least one World Cup. He'll be like 31, but it's just not gonna happen, guys. In terms of like him surpassing Landon and Dempsey for what we've seen in World Cups from those two, it's not gonna happen. Who's your stocks down besides Pulisic, of course?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit, but I really feel this way. I think the golden generation, right? This fake ass golden generation, right, is stock massively down. I'm sorry, man. Like the biggest moments that you've had, to me, you've either no showed or totally flopped. 2022, what really mattered was the round of 16 game. Now they were young. It's okay. It's not going to be the end of the day in their legacy, but they didn't show up for that game, man. Tyler Adams didn't show up for that game. Pulisic didn't show up for that game. McKennie wasn't good that game. Like all those guys weren't good in that game, right? So I get they're young and all that, and I could forgive that if moving forward, come Copa America time, you showed up. No, they no showed. I don't care about the coaching situation. I get that the culture was probably bad. Those guys no showed the Copa, man, and with no heart, with no fire. After the red card, they didn't have any fire. Like first country ever grouped at a home Copa. And then this was their moment, right? They were firing on all cylinders. They had the coach, they had the tactics, they had all of that was fine enough to beat Belgium, honestly, right? If you look at Belgium's roster and you go player for player, it's a good roster. I'm not going to poo-poo them, but it's not that good, Tack. Like, we're not talking about a bunch of $100 million players, right? We're talking about guys that are very much in line with what we have for their clubs. And then I think if you factor in the fact that we're at home, right, we were able to take that last game off and be well rested. Like, there was no excuse for what we saw. That whole, and I'll be very specific, McKennie, I'm talking about the 25 to 27, 28-year-olds. McKennie, Pulisic, Des,
A-Rob,
A-Rob, Tyler Adams. To me, it's those guys. Those 5 guys were supposed to change American soccer. And right now, all we've seen is them no-show every single big moment they've had together. And you mentioned the Gold Cup. Dude, like, I hate that we have replaced the Gold Cup as a nation with the Nations League. That Nations League camp is so short. It's 2 games. The Gold Cup at least reflects the World Cup. There's group stage, there's knockouts. Like, and have these guys ever played a Gold Cup? 2019, right? I don't think
It
they've
was
ever
when they
played a
lost to
Gold Cup.
Mexico before COVID, when they lost to not them. It was, I think it was just Pulisic and McKennie.
Correct. Maybe Adams. I don't even remember.
Adams
Yeah, you might be right.
injured. It was when Adams was out for a year. Yeah, he was
That's
injured.
correct. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, they've like just never even come. If they don't all play the Gold Cup next year, I know you just mentioned maybe you wanted to bench Pulisic for it. If they all don't have the fire to be like, yo, we need to go back and establish our regional dominance in the Nations League and in the Gold Cup next summer,
like Mexico did. Mexico did for the World Cup. Mexico
correct.
did that.
Buck up. Everybody, if that's not what the leader, like, what do you guys are so soft, man. If it's like, oh, we'll see you, like, they should, whoever the new manager is, I want to talk about that before we get out of here too. Whoever the manager is, not necessarily new, but whoever the manager is, they better be coming to him and be like, yo, we want in. We're all in on the Gold Cup next year. Do not leave us off. We have something to prove and we have something to change. I just don't see that, but I guarantee you they won't, because that's not how this group is built. That's what I've realized, right? Is I blamed it on Berhalter. A lot of people blamed a lot. Like, and Berhalter has zero, or he has a lot of culpability. I'm not taking it away, but I was like, man, the culture, that's the reason for the underperformance. Now that they have a good manager, we're going to see these guys really step up. To see them go all the way down to the drebs of how they played, Tack, I don't know if you've rewatched it yet. I know you hadn't when you done your 7 things. It's really bad. I rewatched this morning. I was like, I got to just rewatch to get a gauge of this. And there are moments that weren't goals, Tack, that were really bad in that first half, that were like, how do we get away with that?
I didn't rewatch it. I'm not going to rewatch. I think
it's effort. It's effort, man. It's not going to win a ball in the air when you easily can. It's like getting dispossessed in the dumbest way and then like chasing it and kind of giving up on a tackle. Like, the things that led to those goals are insane. Like, all of those goals were preventable. And we were just, I don't know, we were just not focused. We weren't there to play. And it wasn't like it was the biggest guys on our team. It was
the lights got too bright, Adam. The lights got too bright. That's the only.
So this Golden Gen stock down right now. I'm like out on them, man. Like, they need to, if they want to bring me back, then they have a lot of work to do, because I'm kind of out on them.
Just make one thing clear. When we say bring us back, it's not this year. It's not the US national team. We say bring us back, we're talking about the generation of players. The US national team, they still have us. Like, we're still there with them. It's the generation of players that the one specific, the specific names you mentioned. Another stock down for me. I mean, you kind of mentioned all the players of those main players, but to me is Gio Reyna, because we've always defended him and talked about his talent and talked about this and that, and he got outplayed by like Sebastian Berhalter in the World Cup, right? Gio Reyna was completely useless in the World Cup, and it's reached a point where you're just kind of like, is he still going to be at the national team in the future? Yeah, he'll probably be there. Like next, we're not that deep, right? So will he still be there? Probably. But what is he good for these days? Doesn't create anything. Very passive. Doesn't defend well. Slow. Doesn't look like fired up like he once was. Because I'll say this: like, he came in at halftime against Belgium. It was a similar sub to what Berhalter did against the Netherlands in 2022. And he didn't fire up the team. And then Sebastian Berhalter came off the bench with all his lack of ability that we talk about. He tried to fire up the team, right? If you're coming off the bench fresh and your team is down, you have to be that fire that lights up the spark, right? That's what you got to be. And he wasn't, right? Gio Reyna was once again. I hate to use this word, but it's just kind of useless in the World Cup in general.
Throw him in the golden generation as well. I mean, he pretty much has been a part of the national team on the same timeline. I know he's younger, but like, throw him into that same exact thing. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I've defended him for a long time and said, just give him the opportunity. He's given plenty of opportunity here, and had a really nice goal in that first game. But once again, when the lights get bright is when I need you to show up. No shows from all of them, dude.
Well,
my second
just
one
thing
is,
also, he scored that beautiful goal, but outside of that, he didn't do anything. And that goal was a 3-1 win during garbage time. Just to make that, I love that goal. But just to make that clear.
I thought that was going to catapult him to more confidence and to come in and really be a game changer. And he wasn't. I mean, he was a total non-factor in every other appearance he had. And I mean, so you talk about players on a similar path age-wise, him and Tillman. Tillman just lapped the guy, right? I mean, that was a conversation at one point, it was like Tillman or Gio. And I had Gio for a long, long time. And Tillman has just, I mean, ripped that conversation apart, similar to the Ballo Pepe conversation. My,
Yeah.
my second stock down, I know you said, you already mentioned him. You don't want to mention him. Listen, Matt Freese was like the locked in starter for this team for a year. Um, I I don't ever really remember a performance from him other than I think maybe a penalty shootout performance he had, but like he never once changed a game for us, right? That's what I'll say.
Oh, he
Like
changed for the worse. Yeah, he changed for
for
the
the
worse.
worse, yeah, but he never changed a game for the positive. He never did anything that I think you could take any MLS goalkeeper, starter or backup, and they would have done exactly what he did, maybe even a little bit better if they just like in the biggest moment of their career don't decide to not kick a ball. Like
No, decided to kick a ball. Like I don't know what he
no,
did.
no,
He
no, 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 no,
hesitated.
no,
Yeah.
Tech, no, no. He reared back. He was gonna clear it. It was perfect. It was like, good. Get the ball out. He stopped and went, "Oh, I'm gonna play the ball sideways." Like, I can't even talk about that one. But like, forget even that though. Tax his stock is way down because like he's been given so much run and he's never brought anything to the table that I'm like, wow, that's different. Or like that, like at least Matt Turner in the time that he was the starter, he had some games where he did change some games at times. I can't say that one time about Freeze.
Well, Matt Turner only changed games, I think, once. It was like that Gold Cup in 2021.
He had some other performances after that were good, where he stopped some shots that mattered. But you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not saying Matt Turner should be a starter. He shouldn't. But like, if I think about the legacy of Matt Turner and the legacy of Matt Freeze, hopefully they're both done with the national team now. Matt Turner at least did something. Matt Freeze, I don't even know what to say, man. Like we put him in there because he's a warm body. Like
Yeah, I'll say to reinforce your point, I'll say that Matt Turner in the 2022 World Cup, he wasn't great. Like he didn't save us or do anything for us, but he wasn't embarrassed. Matt Freeze was embarrassed. That's the big difference, right? And I don't know if you remember, I can't remember what game it was. Remember there was a game Matt Freeze just gave the ball away and they scored on us. What game was that?
oh god, yeah, that was the lead up. He like went out of net on the right hand
Yeah,
side.
yeah. He gave a
Yeah,
goal to the opponent with his foot again, like when he would
yeah.
try to play. Yeah,
I
so it's
forget what
not
that was, but yeah,
it's reoccurring. It's reoccurring. It's not
it's
something
not.
new for this.
It's tough, but stock has to be down because he shouldn't really even be in the picture. Like honestly, like he's given a year run and didn't do anything. And if you're going to go from a locked in starter to who I think you shouldn't even get a chance, that's the ultimate stock down.
I'm I'm shocked that Matt Freeze as a player even got to play in the World Cup.
It's crazy.
It's not the level, right? It's not the level. Like when I see a play like the one that he just didn't kick the ball away, and I look at a play like that, I'm like, wait, that specific play, I could have actually done better than that player because I would just kick the ball away. I
Right.
can kick the ball away. Not that bad. And it's like, is Matt Freeze worse than me with his feet? And he is. He actually is worse than me, than myself.
It's crazy.
So that stocks down the Golden Generation, Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Matt Freeze. I mean, we could keep going on like players like just a couple shout outs, Tim Weah, which I guess he falls in the Golden Generation category, right?
He
Tim Weah.
does. You're right. He should be in there.
Pepe, his stocks also fell, I would say. Ricardo Pepe. But I think that's enough for players. Otherwise, we'll talk about them for hours. We now have one big positive and one big negative. Do you want to go first with the big positive?
Why don't you go and I'll pivot off
Okay.
you.
I think one big positive is this team has a mentality issue for sure, and that got exposed against Belgium. But prior to the World Cup, we have a mentality issue against teams that were weaker than us. We were losing to Panama. We were losing to everything. Every single team, even weaker sides, we were losing to them. Pochettino, once he took over, it took him some time, but he was able to change that mindset where we essentially became bullies, right? When we played lesser teams, we would bully them. We scored a lot of goals this World Cup. We scored 11 goals. We've never done that before. The problem was Pochettino was only able to get us so far when it comes to that. When we played a team that was our size or maybe a little bit better, Belgium, we crumbled. But I think the big positive there is that he brought back that belief that it's like, guys, listen, when you're playing a lesser team, you freaking go at them and you score goals and you create chances. And we did that. We did do that. That's why coming into the Belgium game, we were having the best World Cup we've ever had. So I think to me, a lot of us are going to ignore that because we're going to just think about the Belgium game. But to me, that is a big positive. Right now, what we have to do is get that and bring it to CONCACAF. Like, we cannot be losing to Panama anymore. Costa Rica, Honduras, Jamaica. You beat the crap out of those teams. In Canada, I don't think they're a good team either. And then against Mexico, you have your derby that you got to pull off wins. You got to find a way to win. But we don't want to see those ridiculous upsets at home in a Gold Cup that we were seeing before. Like Berhalter almost lost to Jamaica in the Nations League. Got lucky with a late goal, an own goal. Then we lose to Panama in the Gold Cup. Then we lose to Panama in the Nations League. We don't want to see that anymore. And I think what Pochettino did in that World Cup might end that for the most part. Can it still happen? Of course, it can still happen, but it shouldn't.
Mine's similar. I think it's along the same lines. I think we found a real identity against the teams that we should beat. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching us play. And I think Pochettino kept calling it like distinctly American, and he wanted to lean in on what America's about as an outsider, which I thought was cool. And it made a lot of sense to me, right? Is like, we're not going to like take crap, and we are going to bring the game to you, and we're going to bring it in a pretty direct way. And we're going to, go get you. And we're going to, have high effort levels in our counter press and our pressing. And I loved that. That is a big positive for sure. And it should lead to, hopefully, I'll knock on some wood, a more stress-free, or at least less stressful World Cup qualification cycle, which we're going to have to do. It's been a while, and we're going to have to do it. And I know it's an extended World Cup, and maybe it won't be quite the same thing the Hex always was, but you're going to have to go beat Meadows and beat them convincingly if you want to do it, if you want to qualify without stress.
Well, and to your point about that, yes, we have World Cup qualifying this cycle, right? We didn't have it before. Now we have World Cup qualifying. And even though there are expanded spots, you still have to go away and beat these teams, right? Something we've struggled with. And you have to beat them all at home. You still have to qualify for the World Cup. Am I concerned? No. But I want to see now this cycle maybe our best World Cup qualifying campaign ever.
Yep.
That would be a good way to get everyone excited again. One big negative. I'll just go first on this one because you might have the same one. I don't know. Maybe not. I think we just missed out on. We'll get another opportunity in the future, probably in 2038 when we host the World Cup again. Which the rumors are pretty damn strong that the World Cup's coming back to the U.S. in 2038. But we just missed a massive, massive opportunity to just have soccer blow up in this country because, as you talked about, we had around 42 million people watching that game. If we had won the next game against Spain, we're probably talking about 50 million or more. We're starting to get to like, this is NFL. It's just not the Super Bowl. That's all that it isn't. It just doesn't beat the Super Bowl, right? And if you make your country proud, they will follow. They'll be interested. There'll be more kids playing. And sure, I think the World Cup, big picture, it had a positive effect when it comes to soccer in this country, the World Cup. That's for sure. But the thing is, we want the U.S. men's national team to become more popular. That is important, right? To inspire kids to want to play for the national team, to grow the sport in this country, to get those dual nationals that the parents are from a different country and they were born in the U.S. and get them to join the U.S. men's national team. And I think that opportunity was wasted because that was the moment. It was the Belgium game. That was the moment where we needed a big performance, even if we lost. We needed something that that people would feel emotional about, that people would want to be part of that team. A kid would watch that and be heartbroken that we lost, let's say 3-2 like Mexico, and say, I want to play for the national team and I'm going to beat Belgium next time. But what these kids saw, what teenagers saw, what adults saw, what old people saw, whatever it is, whatever age you are, you saw a disgrace of a performance. Nothing that inspires you. If anything, you're a little ashamed. And I even saw a lot of people saying, I don't want to talk about it. There was more of like, I don't want to talk about this rather than I want to help this team win next time. We're this close. We're this close. Even if we won, it would have been crazy. But I'm saying even in a loss, you could have changed the way they see soccer in this country. You could have. And it wasn't done. It was a wasted opportunity. That is a massive, massive negative. And it goes back to what you said. This was the golden generation. And this was their legacy. Their legacy was going to be this game. It's like this game was going to change soccer for millions of Americans. And honestly, it didn't. We're a joke. It
Like,
really didn't.
could they, this was their moment to come up with their 2-0 2002, to come up with their I know it wasn't a knockout stage, but their Algeria win from the Landon Donovan generation. Honestly, even if they had an Egypt like performance, right, against Argentina, where, we scrapped and maybe gave up a couple late goals, any of those scenarios, the public feels so different about this team heading into, the next 2 years. The Now we're gonna have to fight again just to get people to care about Copa America, or watch. But if you had that momentum, it really would have been something where I think people are like, I'm gonna go watch that group. I like that group, And now people are gonna be like, that group's kind of soft. Like, and
Yeah.
you lost it. Yeah. My big, negative, it's going to relate to my big positive. I think we found an identity against the lower level teams, not necessarily minnows, but teams we should beat. We found an identity for how to beat them. I think I've used this comp a lot. I don't know if I've ever used it here with you, but I think that we need to think of ourselves in the same way that Atletico Madrid has thought of themselves and built their identity for, 2 decades now, where we can absolutely be the bully against the low end La Liga table team. But if we have our big ambition, if it's to win Champions League, right? I'm just speaking from Atletico Madrid's perspective, right? We need a way to play against Real Madrid and Bayern and these teams, right? And it's not necessarily going to be like park the bus full Egypt against Argentina style all game, but it's going to be flexing how we play based on opponent. And the big negative I saw is there was no flex in Poch. Like, I thought we were going to flex a little bit how we played against Belgium. And honestly, I think he got the tactics wrong. I think even before the crappy plays that happened that I spoke of that led to the goals, we were kind of getting cut up. And in my opinion, against a Belgium level team or above, you are going to get cut up if you have our level players trying to like press and stretch the game. I just don't believe in it against that level team. So I pose the big question again. Like, not only what is our identity, like our identity has to be twofold, Tack, right? We can't have one identity. We can't be a team that only plays conservative. We can't be a team that only plays an attack, because the level of opponents that we need to play in big games, if we have ambition, ranges from the minnow of CONCACAF in a World Cup qualifying game, right? We have to win that game. What's the best way to win that game? Probably the way that we won our group stage games.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have to start thinking about, right, not Mexico. Mexico, we can go play with. We can do, I think you probably don't want to be quite as aggressive with Mexico, or maybe you do, who knows? But you have to start to think about, do we have a way that we can flex against a Belgium, against a Spain in that next round? I just don't, we can't play that way against them, And I was kind of a good soldier and like, yeah, American identity, yay. And I think, I think Poch, we haven't talked about Poch at all. He got the tactics very wrong. He got totally outcoached. And I thought that in the second half, he seemed to have turned it around before the horrific goal. But listen, like for a half, we were on the back foot. And if not for some awful misses by them and a pretty lucky goal, we could have been down 4-0 at half, 3-4-0 at half.
Yeah, I think that the whole thing about being flexible, I think every coach has to be flexible, unless you're like France, you're like Argentina. You're always expected to, hey, you got to dominate, you got to attack, you got to play. The problem for us is usually like with World Cup qualifying and everything, we only play teams that are lesser than us or Mexico that's equal. In Mexico, I think we should approach them the same way we approach the lesser teams. We should attack them. We shouldn't bunker. So ultimately, we got to use the Copa America for that. When we play a Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, they're going to come after us, and we should not try to. It's hard to like outplay those three teams, right? You have to kind of be flexible. Like we saw that with Colombia Berhalter. We try to let's go play Colombia 5-1 Colombia. It's like we shouldn't have done that. So I think that that's where we got to use that as preparation. And being in the Copa America is a must. I know we are in the next one because it's probably going to be in the US in 2028, but it has to be a must because unfortunately in CONCACAF, there is no team above the US and Mexico. So we don't get those games. While CONMEBOL, you have Brazil and Argentina facing each other, then playing Uruguay, then playing Colombia, and then Ecuador, different styles, but all high level. In Europe, they also face each other. They have the Euros that they have many different games. They're very tough games. We don't get that. So we got to use the Copa America for that because also friendlies are never the best experiment for that because
Yeah, I agree.
they're not going to go at you like they would in a World Cup game. The intensity is it has to be competitive games. So I agree with you on that one. I think in terms of tactics, Pochettino could have done different against Belgium, but I think ultimately the downfall was the attitude of the players. I think that was the
For
downfall
sure.
because the pressing and being aggressive and playing how we play, it could have worked if they were on a good day. It could have worked, but I think the way the players were shitting their pants, I don't think it would matter what Pochettino chose to do. Like you go back to the second half, he made some adjustments and we were playing a little bit better in the second half. Like we weren't terrible. And then Matt Freese does that. It's like, how do we blame Pochettino for that? Like, what else do you do? It's like, it's just like, okay,
You,
like what do I do?
you can't blame Poch for that. But I'll say this though, in rewatching the game, it wasn't a lack of effort for pressing. Like we were going, like our press was going. And to your point, yeah, we still shouldn't have even let up goals if we just do somewhat half intelligent things and have some level of effort in the box and like some level of like desire in the final third. We could have prevented most of those opportunities fairly easily. But I'm telling you right now, like the press was a non-factor. Like they
We
were
also
not
were
only
not
they were
winning second balls,
Belgium was
Adam.
excited
We
to be
weren't winning
pressed by
second
us.
balls, Adam. We
We
weren't winning
weren't. You're
second.
right. No, you're right. I mean, I was trying to really dig in and go, all right, who wasn't pressing hard? Like where was the lack of effort? And it was hard to find that in terms of like around midfield or into their area. Like guys were going, we were getting cut up. And then most of the lack of effort stuff was recovering out of the press. And you
I
cannot use the excuse you used against Netherlands 4 years ago that we're exhausted, MMA burning themselves out. Can't use that. You got to take the third game off, guys. Like, so agreed. So maybe you're right. I mean, maybe we need better effort and recovery, and then we can press a team like Belgium.
I
I don't
think
know.
they were just
I'm
they
not
were
saying to bunker against Belgium, tack. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But is there, can you rev up what you do with the press and this identity? Can you rev it up to a 10 out of 10? Can you drop it down to a 6 out of 10? Can you drop it down to a 2 out of 10 against Spain? Like, to me, that's where a lot of the success of the U.S. men's national team long
well.
term is going to come from.
I was
I
just
just
gonna
don't
say it
know if
always
I've ever
comes
seen an
down.
undermanned team in the way that we would have been against Spain, especially pressed to win. Like,
Belgium adjusted to us. Like if you think about it, they made changes. Like De Bruyne didn't play.
right?
They benched Venikin and also Doku was benched. So they put Luke Bacchio on the right wing, so he would be attacking on Ream. That
Raheem,
was
yep.
obvious, right? They also had Charles de Catalier falling on Ream. Everyone was falling on Ream on purpose, and they
Yep.
put a more athletic midfield to win those second balls with Onana there and the other midfielder that I forgot his name, the guy that plays for Rangers. And then Tielemans was the only starting midfielder that stayed. He's also slower, but you need someone very good on the ball like Tielemans. So they adapted to us. They put also, I think, Ngoy back at the center back position, more athletic to match the
Mm-hmm.
American athleticism. We just played the same game. We're also the whole thing when you talk about the press, they knew that we pressed, right? So I saw exactly what they were doing. They were doing what Norway was trying to do to Brazil. But and when people complain about Ancelotti was doing a reactive approach, he was doing it because the plan for Norway was to drag Brazil, and then the goalkeeper would go long to Sorloth or Holland. So Brazil wasn't falling for it as much. Brazil was like, let's not press because that's what they want. The goalie's just going to go long, and Holland's going to body everyone. And honestly, Belgium was also doing that. They would on purpose pass it back to Courtois. They would wait for us to set up the press, have all our midfielders high up the field, boom, long wherever Tim Ream is. They kept doing that throughout the game. I didn't rewatch it, but you guys can rewatch it and see that for yourselves. Last but not least, Adam. So two things. One, what would you rate the overall World Cup in terms of performance, everything that's happened from 1 to 10, with 5 being average? I know we kind of voted that in the beginning when we were talking about success, average, failure, but now I want you to put a number to it, a number from 1 to 10. 5 is average.
Listen, everything before Belgium was a 9 out of 10. And I don't know how to do my final number here because Belgium was a 0 out of 10. And it's like, okay,
I
well,
can
what's the
help you with
middle of
that.
that is around 5, 4 or 5. But I just think the Belgium game has to wait more. I just think it does. It's your moment to show who you are, to your point, and win or loss, that's fine against Belgium. But to show what you're about and show who you are, and to no show that just magnificently, it's I can't in good conscience go above 3 out of 10 with how I feel right now. And I wish I could, because it was so good leading up to that. But I think when we think back on that World Cup, 10 years from now, if we're doing a pod and we're talking about the 2026 World Cup, that's really going to be the narrative, you know? And unless the golden gen, the bronze generation is what I'm going to start to call them, unless they do something drastic in Copa or the next World Cup, if they're given the chance, I think we just kind of saw what their legacy will be. In my opinion, I think that bronze generation is going to get broken up by next World Cup. I don't think we'll see them all back in the team. I think it'll be kind of piecemealed. You might see a couple of them, but really this was the one where they were the core group and they were supposed to own it. And we just saw what their legacy is going to be. And it's like not fitting to give it a 5 or 6 out of 10, because
I'm gonna give it a 3 as well, and it just comes down to this. It's like, imagine you're in college and you get like a 3.8 GPA your freshman year, 3.5 sophomore year, 3.7 junior year, and then you just like drop out in your senior year. Like, that's what
How
we
was your
did.
college career?
Yeah, how was your college career? We dropped out in the last year. We were that was our senior project right there, and we just dropped out. So, yeah, like how you finish the World Cup matters. And we can, if we change this to, let's say we were a massive soccer country, we were Argentina or France. France, the 2022 World Cup was a failure because they lost the final. It's like, oh, well, how could it be a failure? They made it to the final, they went to penalty shoot, but you lost. It was a failure unless you win it. Obviously, that's not the standard for us, but ultimately, for us, it was to try to get to the quarterfinals, and if not, at least lose with dignity, like Mexico did. Like Mexico, to me, was a success. The World Cup, I thought it was a success.
Agreed.
Canada, I don't want to talk about Canada. To me, it was weird. It wasn't a good World Cup for them. But I'm gonna give it a 3. Give it a 3 because yes, it's not a total failure of giving it a failure. To give it a 1, we would have to get grouped, right? Have to
Right.
get grouped. We weren't grouped, but it wasn't a success. It wasn't. I'm not gonna go here and sugarcoat it. It's not. It's not true. Now, do we have a lot to build off of? Yes, and we talked about you can build around Tillman, Balogun. We learned a lot. There's reasons to be optimistic. That's what I'll say. And I want Pochettino to stay, for example, and I'll get your final thoughts on that too. But the World Cup itself was mostly a failure because of that last game. Now, Adam, final thoughts before we wrap up this episode.
Yeah, I'll riff on this for 2 minutes here. So I think the big picture, the biggest error of this cycle, it actually happened in the first 2 years of the cycle. And I say that because for 9 months, we didn't really have a manager. Maybe we hired Berhalter 6, 7 months in, but then he didn't coach the Gold Cup. So we were kind of like, coming out of like a World Cup where we actually had momentum, Tack, right? It was a young group. We made it out of the group. We played England tough. Like, okay, we lost to Netherlands, but there was momentum, and we just stunted that momentum by having 3, 4 different people kind of manage those games that year, dragging our feet on the hiring process, rehiring the same guy who was a part of like the post World Cup controversy, who clearly just we shouldn't have rehired him. And then that leading to another year of like just kind of crappy results. Things went downhill. So, like, to me, what we just saw, Tack, and it might not have been Pochettino. That's okay. We could have hired different people, but what we just saw should have been the Copa America results, right? We should have been able to build for 2 years to have those kind of results in Copa America. And then for 2 more years, you build it to another level. And I think because of the hiring process and the BS that was rehiring Greg, we stunted the ability to do that. I think Pochettino did a nice job with what he had. I think we got to a pretty good place. But really, like, with national team, every camp matters. There's so little time you have with your guys that like every camp matters. And we killed that. So like my biggest thing is I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know if Poach wants to come back or not. I don't like second cycle managers unless they have the right mindset. If he has the right mindset and he really wants to do it and the guys seem like they're still bought in on him, then I'm all good. I could just see it going the other way. I could see him getting bored with it. I could see the guys getting sick of him. But maybe not. Maybe everything it looks good from how he approached the World Cup. He seemed to really, just have a great mindset for it. So whether it's him or not, I'm okay if it is him, if he's all in. I'm also okay if it's not him, if he doesn't want to do it anymore and it's somebody else. But we need to be swift and decisive with finding the next person. We need to not drag our feet. We need to not hire somebody incorrect, you know, where we have to do this whole thing again where 2 years is wasted. Like, we need the right person to come in with the right vision, and we need them to get to work on it right away.
Yes, that wraps up the World Cup camp recap. Obviously, in the next few days, I'll still wrap up the World Cup coverage with things we need to do to fix US soccer, the big picture, right? We talked here more about the team, but things outside of the team that it's more looking towards a long-term vision, right? I'll also probably make a video talking about USMNT prospects because I think a lot of new fans came into the channel. They've been asking, it's like, oh, but who are the up and coming prospects that we're not here? And there's a few, and they're actually quite promising players worth mentioning, and I'll make a video about that as well. Adam, thank you very much, and I'm actually going to have you back very soon. September we have a camp, and hopefully I'm still here on YouTube covering it. And if I'm still covering it, we will have our wonderful camp recap. Hopefully with a few wins. We don't know who we're going to play yet. Which teams will be playing, but we'll find out very soon. Adam, thank you very much. All right, everyone, don't forget to drop a like. All right, bye.